Yesterday, Apple announced their brand new 24-inch M1 version of the iMac. It looks like it could be a very powerful all-in-one solution. So, what are all the options and do they look any good? Let's find out. What's up, everyone? I'm the Everyday Dad, and if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. So I'm very excited about this. Yesterday, we talked about the M1 version of the iPad Pro, and we're gonna do roughly the same thing today. So let's talk about all the cool technology inside of it, and then we'll check out the pricing and spec options so we can make some recommendations on what you should buy, what I will probably buy if I buy one. I'll probably buy one. So let's get to it. Okay, over on the Apple website, they've already updated everything. That event was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun in that event. They announced a whole lot of crazy stuff. So yes, the iMac 24-inch. I was kind of hoping for a 27-inch update. 24-inch is kind of small, especially when it's going to be like your only screen, but look how small this thing is. What this M1 iMac has really done is made me so excited for the version of the MacBooks that are wholly designed for the M1 processor. I mean, look how thin these things are. This looks, and I think I said this on Twitter, these look like iPads in Magic keyboards, but they're a full computer. It's so crazy. Look at all these cool colors. That's very exciting. I will probably get orange or green. Not sure yet. Orange or green are the two that I'm curious about. So we mentioned it. Let's scroll down through here. You can see they do have the 7 vibrant colors. I love how fun the colors can be. So blue, green, pink, doesn't look bad, silver, yellow, orange, and purple. So the reason I'm thinking about buying one of these is using this. So you see my laptop right here. I'm thinking about buying one of these smaller iMacs to just set it here on the desk and be the desk computer. I always need some kind of information or to show you all something, so I think I'm gonna buy one to put right here on this desk. Man, look at how good that looks. Okay, let's talk about it. We talked about how thin it is. It is 11.5 millimeters thin. Look at that is crazy for a full desktop computer. We'll talk more about these ports in a second because I do think there's a difference in the ports. So you can see that 2 of them are blazing fast Thunderbolt ports. 2 of them are USB-C ports, and I don't think you get 2 of them in a couple of options. So we'll talk more about that as we come across it. And something that looked really cool, another thing, not only is the design cool, but it also has MagSafe. They're not calling it MagSafe, but it's a power cable that connects to the back of the computer, kind of like MagSafe. Which is great because I trip over cables all the time. So I like having cables that if I'm gonna trip over them, it's not gonna break the computer or whatever. And the color matches. Of course it's Apple and it will have color matching cables. Brilliant 4.5K Retina display. Apple's displays always look good. I saw a lot of people complaining about the chin here on the display, but they got it, they put all of the technology in somewhere, and they have some pretty beefy speakers in there that we'll also talk about when we get to it, but I don't mind the design. I don't mind the bezels, and I don't mind the chin. This thing just looks so small. It can go up to 500 nits of brightness, has the P3 color accuracy, so that means it'll be pretty darn good for being color accurate for video editing. 1080p FaceTime HD camera. It also, like the iPad we talked about yesterday, will have the new M1 ISP or image signal processor. It works okay on the 720p FaceTime cameras that we have on the MacBooks, so we'll see how it works with the 1080p cameras. Hopefully it'll look better. It'll be a better camera because it's 1080p as opposed to 720p. Those are all resolutions, which we will not get into a huge discussion today, but just to say that this camera should look really good. Now, something that they talked an awful lot about during the presentation was studio quality mics. So they have a 3 mic array on the new M1 iMac, and it's supposed to reduce feedback, and it's supposed to just sound like you're recording in a studio, which, that's kind of a bold claim for a big computer like that, but Apple has really good technology with both speakers and microphones, so I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt on this. And now we're also up here on the speaker sound system. This is one of the cooler things of the new update is, even though this computer is super thin, super small, they were able to fit some legit looking speakers and subwoofers into the body of this thing. So you can see right here, force canceling woofers. I'm not an audiophile, I don't know what that means, but when they showed the thing, it looked really cool, so I'm excited to see how it sounds. The next big thing they're showing here is the M1 processor. We could talk and have talked at length, at very big lengths on the M1 processor, so I'm not gonna go into that today. Suffice to say that I do all of my work right now on an M1 Mac Mini that has the M1 processor inside of it. This CPU is legit. You can get no kidding if you're like me and you need productivity. Even if you need power tasks like video editing, the M1 of today is everything you could ever want. And the fact that you can get it on such a small tiny, compact, all-in-one computer. That's so good. They talk about how it's 85% faster than the last version, 2 times faster graphic performance. This will have the 8-core GPU, unlike this version of the MacBook Air that has the 7-core GPU. It will have the full M1 processor experience. You can see they talk about Safari and all that stuff, all the pro apps. This is Final Cut Pro. This is what I use for video editing. All of the apps that you can run in the Apple ecosystem, 99% you'll now be able to run on the new M1 iMac because you can run a lot of the iPad and iPhone apps on that Mac. It's just such a good value in that maybe you needed an iPad or maybe you needed an iPhone for specific application. Well, you don't anymore. You just pop them all together. We will continue to have the very good integration between your phone and your computer. When you use an iPhone, still get AirDrop, Universal Clipboard, which is very cool. Of all the things that I'm excited about with this new release of the iMac, I'm most excited about this new keyboard. I've been asking for at least the last year and a half that Touch ID. So you see my laptop right here, it has Touch ID here to unlock it. But whenever it's plugged into my desk setup, I can no longer use Touch ID. I have to always type in my password. So now that there is a keyboard with Touch ID built into it, I will be buying that the instant it's released. I'm really hoping that they'll also sell these as standalone accessories so it will work. I assume that because it works with the iMac, it'll also work with like the M1 computers. Maybe it'll work with the older ones, I don't know. But having a keyboard so you can be at your desk and have Touch ID, you can authenticate purchases, authenticate passwords. I love keyboards. We all know that. You hear me say that in every computer video. My obsession. There's no other way to say it. My obsession with typing, because I spend all my days typing. Apple keyboards are some of my favorite, and now it'll be an Apple keyboard with Touch ID. Oh, and all of them are going to be color coordinated for the version of the iMac you get. So if you get the green iMac, you'll get the green keyboard. Like we said, magic. You got me there, Apple. The keyboard is the thing. I'm so excited for that keyboard. I would buy an iMac just to get one of those keyboards. And then, yeah, that's all the big specifications and features we're going to talk about. Let's go over to tech specs really quickly. See all the colors. They look so good. They look so good. Leave me a comment below. I want to see what everybody thinks of the color of the iMac that I should get. Because I'm leaning towards the orange or the green, but because of how boring I am for YouTube, I'll probably get the silver. But let me know in the comments what you all think I should get. Okay, tech specs, 24-inch, 4.5K, yep, 8-core Apple M1, up to 16 gigabyte unified memory. That would have been nicer to see that higher, up to 2 terabyte storage. So it's basically like an M1 MacBook Pro 13 put into an iMac. That's not terrible. Price, well, let's see. Let's check out the rest of the tech specs. Okay, so I was incorrect. The lower end version will have the 7-core GPU. So my assumption was like the M1 Mac Mini, no matter what version you get, has the 8-core GPU. Not so in the iMac. Nope, they're not going to let us configure that. So we'll go back to the tech specs. But so you can see it comes in 3 separate flavors, 8-core CPU, 7-core GPU for $12.99. Comes with the Magic Keyboard that does not have Touch ID. Will have 8 gigabytes of unified memory and 256 gigabytes of storage. And like I said earlier, it will have 2 Thunderbolt ports, but not have the 2 extra USB ports. That's important. And they're not Thunderbolt 4 ports. So that was one of the confusions. I've seen some of you comment on this in videos, is these are not Thunderbolt 4 ports. These are Thunderbolt ports and USB 4 ports. Technically, they're Thunderbolt 3, not Thunderbolt 4. So you can also see the 8-core CPU, 8-core GPU for $14.99. That comes with 256, 8 gigabytes unified memory. That comes with the 4 ports, gigabit Ethernet, and the Magic Keyboard with the Touch ID. So I would say, unless you only have like the bare minimum to spend, I would not get the base model here. I know I'm always about base models, but I would consider the actual base model to be this 8-core GPU version, because you get gigabit Ethernet, you get the more ports, and you get the keyboard with the Touch ID. Where if you decide you don't want that, and then later you decide, hey, I do, you're gonna have to buy that keyboard again, and I bet you it would end up costing the difference in that. I think there's more than $200 of value on display here, and I would recommend getting the $14.99 if you're looking for the cheapest version. And then there's a higher end version. Looks like that only just has storage option upgrades. So you can see, look at all the colors. We can check out all the colors, but it's not gonna let us configure it. Okay, in the box, you get the Mac, the power cord with the adapter, a Magic Mouse, USB-C to Lightning, and Magic Keyboard. So yeah, you'll be able to charge the keyboard and the mouse. Would have been nice. I assume that because it's USB-C to Lightning, both the keyboard and the mouse will still be Lightning. It would have been nice to see an update to have both of those be USB-C, but Apple doesn't always like USB-C. So let's go back to the tech specs and see how much this would actually cost us. I don't know if they talked about upgrading in here. No, they didn't. Tech specs. Yep, okay, I think that is everything. So, like I said, the version that I would recommend is that $1499. Yes, it is more expensive than the Mac Mini, but you also get that 24-inch 4.5K display. You get the keyboard, you get the mouse, you get everything you kind of need to get going. So, I would say get the $1499 version. The $1299, if that's all that you can afford, obviously don't spend more than you actually have. But I think losing the 2 ports and losing the good keyboard, I don't think that's worth the trade-off there. But what are you most excited about? We talked about the iPad yesterday. What are you most excited about with these new iMacs? When you're talking to me about which color I should get, let me know which color you're gonna get too. I very much want to see what everybody else is gonna get, because I'm very excited to get one of these. Probably gonna pop it right there. Like, can you see it in the screen? No, I don't think you can. It's gonna live right there, and then that's what we're gonna make our videos with. And if you liked this video and you wanna see more about that iPad Pro, which the M1 iPad Pro looks insane. You can find my video from yesterday where we did basically just this, both for the iPad. You can find it by clicking right here. Click, 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 click. Thanks for watching.